Hello and welcome back to the Thrive 5 Daily Mobility Series. Today is day 4. We're going to be looking at lower body for the second time this week. So let's get into it. We're going to be looking at our hips primarily today. So first of all, I want you to adopt a seated floor position. This is going to be known as the bear sit position. All right. It can be a little more challenging than it looks. What I want you to find is a comfortable place where you can keep your legs at around 90 degrees here on your feet, but you can let the feet lift up a little bit here. We're going to be focusing on one side at a time here today. Now, the further you move back with the torso, all right, the more accessible that position is going to be. So you might have to adjust a little bit as we go. We're going to be looking at hip internal rotation here, okay, and we are going to break this down to one side at a time. Okay, so I'm going to get our 45-second marker queued up here, and what I want us to do is you're just going to roll one knee towards the floor until you feel that stretch on the inside of that hip. Might be a little bit unusual if you're not used to that kind of sensation. Okay, if you find you have to lean back further, do so, but try not to let the rest of the body come along for the ride. We just want to be thinking about imagining that hip in its capsule rotating internally towards the floor. I'm not going all the way just to make that happen. All right, I'm trying to keep my butt sealed towards the floor and just exposing myself to that gradual stretch. Now you find as we get a little bit warmer here and a little bit more used to it, I can create just a little bit, an appropriate amount of force, pulling that knee towards the floor. That's something you're going to become more comfortable as the series goes along. It's sort of combining strength with this stretching idea. Okay, that's going to do it for that side. Okay, so we're simply going to swap on over to the other side here and begin that process again, making any adjustments we might need to as we go, learning our body early on in the series here, and perhaps introducing just that little bit of extra force, pulling that knee towards the floor, but I am keeping my butt in contact with the ground throughout, like I said, not rolling over to do that. And that's going to do it for those internal rotations. We're now going to turn our attention to the hip flexor here. Okay, also going to be for 45 seconds per side. You are going to see me here just put this block below my knee to make it a bit more comfortable, but if you've got a nice squishy mat, that should do you just fine. Okay, so we're going to place one knee is going to be down and the other foot down here, more or less with those sort of 90-degree angles there. I'm going to make sure that my pelvis is tucked under so I can really squeeze my glute. I already feel that stretch coming on there. Okay, and from here, keeping those ribs down, I'm just going to very subtly create some force driving forward, but without breaking that position. I'm not arching at the back, okay? Not doing any obtuse movements, just squeezing the butt cheek, almost thinking about driving the floor behind me away. I'm shaking a little bit, getting a little sweaty. Good, and then sort of rocking back. So we should find ourselves here in a slightly more intense stretch than we might have found in that hip flexor rock with the Spider-Man base. Again, if you're not, do not worry. No judgments here around what's going on, as long as you are keeping your best to those sort of positional cues. Pelvis tucked under, butt squeezed here, moving the floor beneath me away behind my knee. I can really feel that. Good, we're going to change sides there. Time flies when you are having fun. Okay, go through that little checklist here. I'll give you a chance. Butt tucked under, ribs down, bum is squeezed. Big belly breath. And I'm rocking into that stretch and out of it for some relief. Driving the floor away very gradually under tension. Got a bit of a shake on there. And that's also going to do it for that side. And we're now just going to come down to the floor for our last drill. It's going to involve some hip flexion, but also some knee extension. Okay. So we're going to come on down to our backs. And we're going to pop one leg, oopsie daisy, in the air. All right, but I'm actually also gonna guide that knee into full flexion, okay? So my hip is in full flexion, sorry, and I'm holding onto some tension there. And from here, we're gonna be looking at extending the knee, okay? But what I want you to focus on here, pulling your toes towards you, extend the knee as far as you can do without losing that hip flexion position, okay? And you'll notice that hamstring will kick in depending on how tight you are there. And release. Ensuring that you keep that flex position in the hip. And it's just the knee that is doing the extension there. Again, don't worry about going to straight. That would be unusual in this position, but definitely something we can think about improving over time. Okay, I'm going to switch to the other side, keeping that butt flat to the floor. Hug that hip up into full flexion and begin your extensions, making sure you're keeping that toe pulled towards you. Ah, lovely. And that's going to do it for the end of our third position, and indeed the conclusion to day 4 here. I'm going to be seeing you tomorrow, I hope, for day 5 in the program, and that is going to be upper body. Thanks very much for joining me today.